Great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, last but not least, we'll move on to Leann. I realize that you only have about 10 minutes, but why don't you take it away?
Yeah, hi, I'm Leann DaWalt, and I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see if that works. Okay, hi. So I'm going to wrap up our panel by flipping the way we're thinking about work and employment. A lot of what we've been talking about so far are the skills that people need and the services that are going to be so important for helping people get a job and be able to stay in the workforce. And I want to talk about a little bit of our research that shows how important work is for the well-being and functioning of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So I am at the Thompson Center, and we focus on research, training, and service. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about a research study specific to adults with autism spectrum disorder. And I think that this research is relevant for individuals with other disabilities as well. So just to quickly give you a little background, the data I'm going to show you are from a very large longitudinal study of adolescents and adults with autism spectrum disorder. It's actually the largest longitudinal study of adults with autism in the world, and we're really lucky that it was done here in Wisconsin. It's over 400 families participated, and when they started the study back in 1998, the individuals with autism were between 10 and 52 years of age, and that's really helpful because it lets us follow over time people with autism as they transition into adult life and also as they age. So our research study, we collected data multiple times over a 14-year period, and this enables us to look at not just what are the factors that relate to helping someone find a job or get a job or start a job, but also looking at patterns of employment over time, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. So we measured aspects of autism. So symptoms of autism, like the ability to engage in social communication, daily living skills, and we've already heard about how important those types of skills are in our panel, and then behavioral challenges, so feelings of anxiety or depression, but also externalizing behaviors, having different kinds of asocial challenges. So we gathered all of those measures at all the 14 times in the study. And then we also looked at employment, and this may be hard to see on your computer screens, I'm not sure, but we have something we call a vocational index, where the highest score, which would be a 9, would indicate employment in the most independent setting. So being employed in the community, all the way to the least independent, which would be a 1, where individuals didn't have any vocational or educational activities. So they were really not engaged. And so again, this gives us a way to think about a range of engagement and independent employment. And so again, we looked at employment multiple times in the study, and we really were interested in the impact of vocational activity on behavioral development. So when I say behavioral development, thinking about well-being and functioning. So we know that for adults that don't have disabilities, your sense of competency in your work is one of the strongest predictors of psychological well-being. So it's more important actually than your financial independence, your romantic relationships. It really is important that you have a sense of connection with your work. And we know that losing a job is one of the largest risk factors for adults in terms of having problems both personally and within your family. I think that with everything that's happening with COVID-19 right now, we're very mindful of how job loss can impact us and our families and our networks, and how devastating that can be psychologically, and how difficult both unemployment and underemployment is in our society. I think a lot of times we don't think about how underemployment or unemployment or losing a job might impact a person with a developmental disability. And so for this particular research, we wanted to ask the question, when we think about adults with autism, how might engagement and independence and vocational activities impact your behavior or your development or your well-being over time? And to do this, we looked at people in our study that had exited high school, so that we were really thinking about once people were out of high school and were not receiving those transition services anymore. And we used statistical models to try to find out, is it, if you look at the first set of boxes, is it that how independent you are in work, does it influence your behavior over time? Or is it that your behavior, so your skills and what you're bringing to the table, does that influence your independence in work over time? Because we had so much data over multiple waves or multiple times for many years, we were able to try to tease apart the chicken and egg, right? Which comes first? Having the skill and that leads to a job, or having a job and that leads to some skill or some change in behavior. And what we found is that individuals in more independent work or vocational experiences, that predicted a change in their behavior over a 5.5-year period. And we found this in every single area of behavior that we looked, so that having more vocational independence was related to reductions in autism symptoms over time. Having more independence in vocational activities was related to reductions in behavior problems over time. So again, those anxious, depressed, externalizing, aggressive behavior went down over time for people in more independent vocational settings. And having more independence in vocational activities was related to increases in daily living skills over time. So better able to get dressed and shower and fix your own food and care for your own items in your home. That higher levels of vocational independence earlier in the study was related to improvements in these behavioral areas over time. And then we tested it statistically the other way, and we found that your behavioral level, so your level of autism symptoms or behavior problems or daily living skills, did not predict change in your vocational independence. Whatever your level of autism symptoms wasn't related to either improvements or declines in your vocational independence over time. So there wasn't a link between behavior and change. And so I just want to sort of summarize that we do see this really important impact of employment, and the direction of effects does appear to be from engaging in vocational activities to change in behavior, and not the reverse. And so it seems that work appears to have a significant benefit on autism symptoms, behavioral self-regulation, and self-sufficiency, so your ability to do these daily living skills. And we really interpret this as that work is an important influence on independent functioning and well-being for adults with autism. And I think why this is important, that's not actually any different than we think about the influence of work for all of us. I just encourage everyone to take a second and think about what you could do when you were 18, and how going to work and having people expect things of you and having people train you on the job, how that has spurred your own development as an adult. None of us are the same, hopefully, as we were when we were 18. And for individuals with disabilities, the same processes seem to be at play, that having the opportunity to engage in work spurs adult development. So we don't stop developing when we're 18. We develop all through our adult life as well. And work seems to be a really important catalyst for people with autism in this study, but that's also consistent with what we find in society at large. And work really does matter for our well-being. So I will stop there because I know our time is short, but I did want to sort of end in the section of our panel helping remind people why work matters so much and that it really is a driver for well-being and increasing of skills. So I will stop there, Shannon. Back to you.